your video. And greetings. Oh, everybody's got to hit got it. The meeting is now being recorded. Greetings and welcome to the Sierra Club-Loxahatchee Group's general meeting, Conquer Eco-Anxiety with Ecohappiness. My name is Linda Smith and I'm the current executive committee chair. And we also have with us Mary Cassell, who is the current executive committee vice chair, and she is going to be monitoring the chat. So please put all your questions in the chat. And when we have an opportunity to ask just open room questions, if you want to speak, raise your hand and Mary will be calling on you. And let me introduce our first speaker tonight, who is also going to be monitoring our Loxahatchee group slides tonight. It's Meryl Davids-Landau, and she is a longtime award-winning magazine writer. Her article in the issue of Good Housekeeping magazine last April is about climate anxiety, including the ways taking eco-friendly actions can soothe it. She is also the author of 2 women's novels with a mindfulness theme, including the award-winning Warrior One, along with a book of essays, Enlightened Parenting. Meryl chairs our Palm Beach County Inspiring Connections Outdoors ICO group, which takes kids from our community out into nature where otherwise they may not be able to get that chance. So please be sure to check out the Loxahatchee Group's ICO website for more information. And with that, Meryl, take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. So before I begin my part of the talk tonight, I'm going to just talk through some of the things that the Sierra Club Loxahatchee Group has going on, or other things that are in the area that people down here might be interested in getting involved with. And first I want to, of course, point everyone to our group website. The Loxahatchee Group is comprised of several counties in this part of the state of Florida, and a lot of great information about what the group is doing can be found on the website. I'm going to also point out at the very top of this slide, there's a little red bar that says join, renew, or donate. Please join if you're not a member of the Loxahatchee Group. Please donate if you would like to support the Loxahatchee Group. Very easy, just by pushing those buttons. And also on the website, you can see, this is an older version, but there is a little calendar that has all of the activities that the group is involved with and that some of the neighboring groups are involved with as well. So there are meetings, there are committee meetings, there are general meetings, there are outings, all of those things for the South Florida area you can find on the website. Some of the things that are coming up for our group, include a meeting of the Conservation Committee. Sorry, I had a bar in front of the words, which is meeting next Wednesday. We are planning a Thanksgiving party for November, and that committee, for anybody who likes to plan parties, is going to be meeting June 8th. Equity, Inclusion, and Justice Committee is meeting on the 13th, and the Political Committee, which figures out which local elected politicians should be elected and endorses them. So if you're interested in trying to get more environmental people elected to office, consider joining that committee. All of this information, again, is on the website. We always need volunteers. So on the website, figure out how to connect with the people you're interested in. Membership is one area we definitely need people volunteer to reach out and try to get new members to join the group, people who come to meetings and whatnot who might want to join. Conservation Committee is very involved with trying to keep South Florida as green as possible and keep it from getting overdeveloped, which, as all of you know, that's a humongous challenge. Drew Martin is the chair of our Conservation Committee. And some of the things that the Conservation Committee is particularly focused on right now is with the Palm Beach County Commission office. They are having several events, as you can see, matters by the public, which means you just speak about things that are important to you. They have a workshop for the Agricultural Enhancement Council update, and there is a council meeting on a very important issue, which is the agricultural reserve, which is an area that was supposed to remain largely agricultural, and over the years it has been chipped away with development. And so there is more plans to change the plans so that there can be more development. These meetings, unfortunately, are all during the week. So people are working full time. It's a challenge to get there, but if you're not working full time, we really would appreciate you showing up and speaking out. And there's a proposal in St. Lucie County, which is a county that we also focus on, to open a wet sand and rock mine, which will decimate the environment in the area. There's a dedicated group of volunteers trying to work on preventing that, and this is the contact information for anybody who's interested in this. The right to clean water is another area of focus, and there's a group, the Right to Clean Water, that's working on trying to make sure that everybody has access to healthy and clean water. And Stop the Burn, which is a campaign the Sierra Club is involved with to get the sugar companies in the Glades part of Palm Beach County to stop burning the cane. There are ways to green harvest the sugar, but they choose to burn instead because it's cheaper and easier, and they don't seem to be all that fussed that it creates major health problems for the residents of the Glades area. So there will be a conversation about the Stop the Burn from 12 to 1, a presentation from the Friends of the Everglades that Patrick, who is involved in, who is part of the Sierra Club, and several of the other people involved in this campaign are going to be speaking about. So hopefully people are interested in joining that on May 26th. And the next meeting of the Sierra Club will be Thursday, June 23rd, 7:30. On Thursday, we do tend to meet monthly, except for in the summer. And we are still meeting by Zoom for some time to come. So this will be a Zoom meeting. Beneath the surface of sea level rise, South Florida's coming struggle against the tide. Hope you can join it. Whoops, hold on. Oh, the mystery question I ask at the end is, I'm assuming, so I will I will stop there. There will be a mystery question at the end. And oh, I guess that was just telling us about that there will be a mystery question. Sorry, I thought for a minute there that I was blowing the mystery question. Anyway, there will be a mystery question, so hopefully you can pay attention, and then you will win a copy of Sandy's book. Sandy Schwartz, who is going to be speaking about her new book, which just came out, called Finding Ecohappiness. And so pay attention and answer the questions. Okay, so I will stop screen sharing.
Meryl,
Yes.
I actually was going to start with a few intro slides and then pass the baton back to you, if that's okay, to set the stage of why we're both speaking tonight. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay, so now I will share my screen. Oops, there we go.
Actually, Sandy, Linda should introduce you before you speak.
I can do that as soon as I unmute. There. Okay.
Oops.
Well, Sandy, as she's pulling up her slides, is the author of the new parenting book, Finding Ecohappiness, which is also our mystery question prize tonight. So everybody pay attention, take notes. She is also the founder and director of Ecohappiness Project and a co-author of the children's book, Sky's Search for Ecohappiness. Her work has been featured in the Washington Post, National Geographic, Library Journal, good housekeeping, chicken soup for the soul, and more. Sandy has a master's degree in government with an environmental focus, which is very pertinent to our group, from Johns Hopkins University, and a specialized certificate in Foundations of Positive Psychology from the University of Pennsylvania, my home state. She's the newsletter editor extraordinaire for the Sierra Club-Loxahatchee group. So she is the one that brings you these wonderful turtle tracks on the first of the month. If you don't get it, please go to your website, the Loxahatchee group website, and on the right-hand side, about halfway down, is a place to sign up for the Turtle Tracks newsletter. And Sandy, are you ready?
Yes. All right, my presentation wants to get ahead of itself. Hello. So I wanted to start off with a little cute note here. I agree with Kermit the Frog. It's not easy being green. As environmentalists fighting to improve our planet, we are attuned to the multiple crises we are facing, whether it's climate change, plastic in our oceans, overdevelopment right here in Palm Beach County, and more. It can be quite the uphill battle to try to save the planet, and this can sometimes cause us to feel some big emotions like stress, anxiety, anger, and despair. But don't worry, we're here to talk to you about how you can conquer that eco-anxiety with eco-happiness. You just heard about me, so I'll just kind of add a little bit here. I have been an active environmentalist since I was part of my high school nature defense club. And I went on to major in environmental studies and political science in college and have a master's degree in government with a focus on environmental policy. And I also, what you didn't hear is that I have this love for exploring ways for us to feel happier and calmer, to find balance in our lives. And a lot of that stems from my own struggles with stress and anxiety. So as my interest in the intersection of nature and mental health grew, I decided to start Ecohappiness project. And that's also, Ecohappiness, Finding Ecohappiness is the name of my book. And this is a word that I've kind of concocted myself to bring together, understanding how nature has mental health benefits, because I really do believe that it's the missing piece in the environmental movement. I've been involved in the environmental movement for quite some time, and we're always looking for new, fresh ways to get people engaged into conservation and saving our planet. And so I'm hoping that if people recognize the mental health benefits of our environment, that they'll want to step up and protect it. Okay, so this presentation is going to address the eco-anxiety that many of us are feeling. You will learn what it is. What is eco-anxiety? That's what Meryl's going to cover. And what steps you can take to use it to fuel, use it as fuel to fight for a cleaner and healthier planet. There's also the flip side, which is eco-happiness, which involves tapping into positive psychology tools to help us feel happier and calmer, such as by experiencing mindfulness, being in awe of nature, feeling grateful for nature, and connecting to wildlife. Finally, we will discuss ways you can get involved in both Sierra Club programs and other local activities right here to boost your own eco-happiness. Okay, so you will hear more about eco-happiness from me later, but I wanted to lay the groundwork about eco-anxiety. I'm going to pass the baton to Meryl. And as you heard, she is a talented author and journalist herself, a passionate environmentalist, and has been very active in our group, and especially in the Inspiring Connections Outdoors program. So take it away, Meryl.
Okay, just give me a second, Sandy. I think you need to stop sharing so I can share my
I
slides.
have to figure out how to do that now.
At the top, there should be a bar that says stop sharing.
Yes, the problem was my whole screen collapsed. All I'm seeing are people's faces.
I wonder if I
right.
can, I think I can stop your sharing as a co-host. So hold on, let me see. Yes, okay, perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. I never knew I had that power before, but it's good to know. Okay, so I am going to be speaking about eco-anxiety, which is actually a growing problem and one that hadn't really been recognized until about the last decade. This is my contact information, and I will repeat that at the bottom at the end because if anybody wants to volunteer for the Inspiring Connections Outdoors program that I run, that I am chair of, hopefully you'll reach out and contact me. So I will talk about that a little more later. So I'm going to talk about eco-anxiety from the perspective of a journalist. I am not an environmental expert. I want to say that up front. I am a writer. These are some of the publications I've written for. I've also, unrelated to the environment, I am a novelist. I've written 2 novels about mindfulness, which is related to the anxiety and stress that we're going to be talking about today. Mindfulness is a great way to quell that anxiety. And most on topic is an article that I wrote last month for Good Housekeeping magazine on climate anxiety. And so, which is also available online. This is just showing you that you can access it online. I will drop the link into the chat when I finish speaking. So climate anxiety, eco-anxiety is a broad term for which climate anxiety, which was more the focus of my article, fits under, but they're both kind of similar. So it's basically the chronic fear of an environmental catastrophe that comes from observing what's going on in the environment. And for climate anxiety, particularly noticing what's happening with climate change, and for many people, the anxiety over the lack of sufficient response to that. So climate anxiety falls under the umbrella of eco-anxiety, which can be anxiety over anything related to what's happening in the environment, not only climate change. People are worried. This is stats from the Yale program on climate change communication. 65% of people are currently worried about, they use the term global warming because they started this survey tracking people 15 or so years ago. And so the terminology has shifted a little bit because it's not only warming, some places are getting very cold because of climate change, but 65% of people are worried. 71% agree that it will harm plants and animals. So there's a reason people are stressed, they're paying attention, and they see what's going on. Young people are especially anxious. There was a large international study in the Lancet Medical Journal, which found that across the globe, 45% of teens and young adults say that these stresses are affecting their daily lives. So climate anxiety is not limited to adults. It's something that kids are feeling as well. And what some experts say is that climate anxiety is very different from other kinds of anxieties, which are considered a mental illness generally. If you are overly anxious about things, they do consider that to be on the spectrum of problematic thinking. But climate anxiety or eco-anxiety makes sense because it's rational to be concerned about what's going on in the world. And this particular quote came from Susan Clayton, who was the co-author of a very comprehensive report looking at climate anxiety from the American Psychological Association. And Susan Clayton even said that 10 years ago, climate anxiety was something that she poo-pooed, was not on her radar. People would say, oh, don't you think all these people are anxious about what's happening with the climate? And she would say, it's not a real thing. And over the years, she has come to see that she was very wrong about that it's very prevalent and very justified. So what's the good news? The good news is that taking actions have been shown to quell eco-anxiety. So it's not something that you have to just sit around wringing your hands about. It's something that you can actually do something about. So in my article, I interviewed a number of experts to look at what some of the things they recommend and some of the solutions I'm going to touch on briefly. And one is a more psychological based response, which is to focus on some of the things that you love about your life. This is called meaning focused coping and psychological babble speak. And that means just spending time really thinking about things that are going great in your life. I love taking walks in the sunset. I love my kids. I love my job. I love going out and having lunch with good friends. Because if you let your mind get too consumed by negative, then you actually can't take the other steps that help to take actions and that will help solve the climate crisis and also make you feel better. Second is to recognize your power. And I love this quote that I have in my article from Good Housekeeping by Catherine Hayhoe, who's the chief scientist at the Nature Conservancy. And she also has a great book called Saving Us, about what you can do to help the climate. And she said, we often picture climate change as a giant boulder at the bottom of a hill with few hands on it. But actually that the boulder's already at the top of the hill and it's rolling down and it's got a million hands on it. And there are a lot of people already doing things. So we can feel overwhelmed by the problem, but actually a lot of people are working on this. And actually recently I was in Miami at the Aston Ideas Climate Conference. I was there covering it as a journalist, and I felt really good about the number of really smart people, really a lot of money that is being thrown at helping to solve some of the problems of climate change. So we each have power, and we should use that power. Some of the ways we use that power is to find other people who are concerned about the environment. One, that has stress reducing benefits, just being a part of community. And two is when you join forces with other people, you are more likely to get things done that help the planet. And in my article, I was pleased to be able to put in a little plug for the Sierra Club, noting that that was one of the places that people could join, or all kinds of other groups based on people's interest, like Protect Our Winters, which is for people who are concerned about climate change because they're interested in winter sports and snow sports. One of the most important things is to push people in power. That's voting with your vote and with your dollars, and making sure that the companies you do business with are taking climate seriously, and that the politicians know at least that there's interest and people are watching them about the climate, even though they haven't done as much as they should be doing by now. And spreading the word is very important, because a lot of people don't talk about climate. The Yale Climate Opinion Survey actually showed only 35% of people, this was last year, only 35% of people say they discuss climate change at least occasionally, even though, as I showed you before, 65% of people are worried about it. So it's not something that's talked about enough. And it's really important for people to start these dialogues and conversations, because that's the way change is going to happen. And I think one of the reasons people in my article talked about not wanting to speak about climate change enough is because they're afraid that it's a controversial issue and other people are going to be deniers and doubt them. And actually, the statistics show that only about 8 or 9% of people are hardcore climate deniers. And most of the other people know it's a problem and just don't know how to go about solving it. So speaking about it is a very important thing. And I encourage everyone who's here and listening to start doing that more with your friends and family. And of course, since we're talking about anxiety, I do have to say, get help if you need it. If you're feeling overly anxious and it's really starting to impact your life, you should either talk to a psychologist, or very interestingly, there are a number of online resources geared towards climate and geared towards people who have specifically eco-anxiety and climate anxiety. There are these climate cafes, which if you Google that, you can find online. And there's a website called the Good Grief Network that has 10-step support groups for people to support themselves when they're feeling overwhelmed by climate anxiety. And this is particularly, that anxiety is something that especially can affect people who are advocates and environmentalists, because the more you know about the problem, the more you try to get solutions done, the more you push against county commissioners and state legislatures and federal government and feel like not enough is being done, the easier it is to be overwhelmed. So sometimes getting that support from other people who are in the same boat as you can be really helpful. And then 7, get out into nature. And I quoted Sandy in my article, actually, talking about the importance of getting out into nature, especially with your family and your kids. And I'm going to let Sandy talk about that. And then after she speaks, I will circle back around and just talk about some of the things that our local Sierra Club group is doing that people can get involved with.
Thank you, Meryl. I learned a lot there. I thought it's fascinating that eco-anxiety, climate anxiety, isn't really considered mental illness. I thought that was very interesting. Okay, why? There we go. Okay. So whether you are struggling with climate anxiety, eco-anxiety, or just everyday stress and anxiety with everything we're facing, we are in a pandemic after all, Ecohappiness is part of the solution for your toolbox of feeling happier and calmer. So what is Ecohappiness? It is all about connecting to nature to feel happier and calmer. Believe it or not, a lot of people, I know this crowd probably gets it and recognizes the connection to nature and how it helps us feel better, but a lot of people don't realize it. You know, they're not being mindful enough. The whole concept of really literally stopping and smelling the roses, stopping and listening to the birds chirping on your morning walk, all of that can have such an incredible, positive impact on your well-being. And on a deeper level, as I mentioned before, it involves realizing how important nature is to our well-being so that we do what we can to protect it. And I'm hoping that more people who don't really have environmentalism and nature, at their top of their priority list will start to recognize the importance of it and for their own family, for themselves, and want to, make a contribution and do what they can to protect it. Because if they realize the beautiful park that their kids love, that makes them feel better, is paved over, then maybe they would then decide to fight for that park in the future. So we have all known it for generations, for a long time, that the environment, that nature reduces stress and anxiety and increases happiness. However, only recently, in the last couple decades or so, has science really confirmed this. There are now hundreds, if not thousands, of studies really, honing in on the positive effects of nature. So, for example, I have a few to note. A groundbreaking 2019 study published in Scientific Reports found that spending at least 120 minutes a week in nature is associated with good health and well-being. And that's only about 20 minutes a day. So it's really something we can build into our daily routine pretty easily. And that research, that report got a lot of press. I know it was in the New York Times and really got some widespread, press for everyday people to kind of start to understand this connection better. Another study, the Nature of Americans report, revealed that nearly all children surveyed felt happier and healthier as a result of nature. And a study out of Denmark determined that the more time children spend outside, the happier they are as adults. So you can think back to your childhood and, how much time did you spend outside in nature, and has that impacted your connection to nature and environmentalism today? And then we can think about that for our children and grandchildren as well. We also have physical data to confirm all of this. Pretty cool research. Nature has been shown to lower the production of the stress hormones like cortisol, and has to reduce stress-related physical symptoms like high blood pressure and muscle tension. The next time you go to the doctor and they want to put you on medication, say, well, maybe I need a nature prescription first to try that out. I'm not a doctor, I'm just saying the nature might help you a little bit. Something to consider for sure. So how does nature heal us? Why are we attracted to nature, and why does it make us feel so much calmer? So there's this concept called biophilia, which is this idea that we have an innate bond that we share with all living things. And this is just something that is an instinct because we are animals at the end of the day, right? And so we subconsciously seek this connection to nature. And nature just offers so many soothing sensory experiences, like listening to birds chirping, breathing in the moist air after a rainstorm, and walking barefoot on the warm sand. All of these ideas, if you think about these experiences, really help to calm us down and to boost our mood. So now I want to run through a few of the key aspects of nature that have a relaxing effect on us. Like, why is it exactly that nature is so soothing? And through my research, I go in way more depth in my book, but it was important for me, even though this is a parenting book and there's a lot of activities, highlighted in the book, I wanted to have the science backing it up. Why is nature so beneficial to our health and well-being? And these are some simple concepts. You're probably like, okay, I get it. But the scientists really needed to do the research to confirm this, kind of to make the case a little bit better for the importance of nature. So first of all, it's colors. There are actually color psychologists that have studied how certain colors make us feel. And believe it or not, but green and blue are the most calming colors. And of course, we have lots of those colors in nature. And of course, a beautiful rainbow. I mean, that to me is so calming. Patterns. So there's this really interesting concept of fractal patterns that occur naturally in our environment. And we actually, like our brains and our minds are attracted to these patterns, okay? Like in the example here of the flower petals, there's tree rings, snowflakes, clouds, the ocean waves, the swirl of a shell, feathers. All of these patterns in nature, we are just instinctively drawn to, and it actually has been shown to calm our brains. Textures. Having that sensory experience of feeling different textures helps distract us from our worries. And so, nature, of course, offers so many options for this: smooth stones, fuzzy caterpillars, silk, rough tree bark, wet water, cool, squishy mud, warm sand, on and on and on. So we can go out and really take a break and try to, next time you're on a walk, like go and see how many different textures in nature you can find. Sounds. Nature sounds have a very powerful effect on us. I'm sure you would agree that bird song and ocean waves and rainfall, trickling water, all of that just is so calming. But, again, the studies are out there. One study showed how birdsong was actually more relaxing than a human voice meditation app. So, when you're choosing, the apps or your mode of relaxing, let's say before bedtime, it's actually beneficial to choose the nature sounds. And, you can record your own, or there's tons of things online and apps to choose from. Scents. Naturally occurring fragrances that nature gives us help to relax us and boost our mood. Some of my favorites are lavender and citrus, and they are typically known to be quite calming. And then, of course, if you're not necessarily going out and smelling flowers, you can also get in touch with the same benefit by using essential oils. Oh, fresh air. Well, that's kind of an obvious one, but it's something people don't really think about. Taking in that deep breath of fresh air, helps us just feel better, calms us down. And the higher concentrations of oxygen just, do so many positive things for our system. Couple more here. Plants. Research shows that greenery cheers us up. There have been lots of studies in office buildings, schools, and hospitals that, people who have a view of greenery, of trees, of plants, of bushes, or a plant in the room where they are, helps them feel calmer, happier, and actually you can heal faster when you are surrounded by greenery. And also, side note, kids do better in school. The test scores actually go up when they have a beautiful view of nature. Water, lots of beneficial properties of water that help us feel happier and calmer. Again, the color, the soothing sounds and motions, the waves and ripples, the light, how the light shines on the water, like in this picture. And also, we have this, it's very interesting. There's a whole book called Blue Mind, I highly recommend, that is an entire thick book about the benefits of water, everything you could cover. And we have this, it helps us feel calmer, water, because if that weightlessness feeling, it helps us feel freer, and kind of reminds us of when we were in our mother's womb. And I think that is part of the reason why it's so impactful for us. And then finally, for all the animal lovers out there, we know a lot of research shows that being around animals, petting animals, even looking at animals can help us feel happier and calmer as well. And this could be in your own backyard, having a pet, going to a nature center, volunteering in a nature center, or out in the wild. Okay, so now that you understand the intricacies of why nature is so beneficial to our health and well-being, I want to talk about why volunteering in ways that connects us to the great outdoors is particularly healing and an antidote to eco-anxiety and climate anxiety. So Charles Darwin advised that communities which included the greatest number of the most sympathetic members would flourish best. Therefore, kindness is essentially a survival of the fittest trait, according to Darwin. You have maybe also heard of, and by the way, Linda, I featured you here, as you can see. So also, when you volunteer, you may have heard of the helper's high. This theory says that helping others through activities like community service makes us feel good and triggers a distinct physical sensation, very much like the rush we get when we exercise. And this is due to our brain releasing endorphins, such as dopamine. So volunteering alone, okay, even if this is just sitting in a room writing letters, so volunteering alone can reduce stress levels, and even, this has been reflected in blood pressure. It helps people, and their mood is lifted. So imagine if you couple that with being outdoors and connecting to nature while you're volunteering. And that's what I wanted to really bring to the forefront today, because we are all volunteers. We're environmental volunteers. And so I just wanted you to recognize that you can kind of turn to your love for nature. Sometimes we get kind of stuck in the muck of going to city council member meetings and writing letters and all these other things. But really, at the end of the day, that connection to nature is what is going to help us keep going and fuel us to keep the fight, right? And keep us happier and calmer in the process. Okay, so these are the benefits of volunteering. Helps us connect with others, provides a healthy distraction, builds confidence, creates an attitude of gratitude. And this is also, again, coupled with the gratitude of nature and the beauty of nature, delivering inspiration. When you realize how incredible you feel after volunteering, you will want to keep doing more to help. Indeed, just one act of kindness can inspire more acts of kindness by you and others around you. And then finding a sense of purpose and meaning. Positive psychology researchers have discovered that people who have a clear purpose in life experience less pain and anxiety. Feeling good about the future is important for emotional well-being, and having a purpose gives us direction and something to look forward to. So a lot of us, our purpose is saving the planet, right? Saving our communities. So, this is going to be beneficial to our health and happiness as well. And I wanted to share something with you. Last week, I was in Atlanta, excuse me, at the Children in Nature Network conference. And the closing session involved a very incredible discussion with Jane Goodall. And she was talking to Richard Louv, who is the founder and director of the Children in Nature Network, and one of my inspirations for writing my book, actually. He coined the phrase nature deficit disorder, which is about kids not having the connection to nature anymore that prior generations have had, and then all of these unfortunate results of that lack of nature connection. So I am paraphrasing what Jane Goodall said, but just last week she said, "I see hope as something very active. We need to roll up our sleeves and work around the challenges we face, like climate change. If we don't give up and we work together, we can reach that star and make a real difference." So how do we reach that star? There are many ways for us to engage in volunteering projects right here in our own local community to feel and experience eco-happiness and to make a difference. So I'm going to first provide you with some general types of environmental volunteering ideas, ways that you can connect to nature more directly in our community. I'm going to highlight also, you'll see, so the kinds of activities and then some of our local organizations and resources that we can collaborate with and tap into. And then I'm going to pass it back to Meryl, who's going to showcase some of the specific ways that you can get involved in our Sierra Club group in order to do this and find your own eco-happiness. So parks and nature centers. So local, state, and national parks and wildlife preserves often need help with projects like hiking maintenance, cleanups, plantings, and removing invasive species. And so, if you're looking to get more involved, these are some of local organizations that kind of off the top of my head. You can find all of the Palm Beach County parks, and I apologize for those who are not in Palm Beach County, but you can get started with that. Google your own county parks as well. Some of my favorite nature centers are Gumbo Limbo and Green Cay. In fact, Green Cay in Boynton Beach was the first place that I really, when I came to Florida 15 years ago, and I followed my husband for his job. This is before I had kids. I no longer had a full-time job. And all of a sudden had a lot of time on my hands. And I went to Green Cay and I volunteered. And I actually talk about this in my book because it really was a very meaningful experience for me, and it helped me during a time when I knew nobody in Florida. So it was a way to connect to nature, to learn something new, and it was a very positive experience. We have the Arthur R. Marshall Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge. We have a relationship with them, our group. Lots of great activities there. I actually recently went to a plein air painting class, which was fabulous. And then just last month, we had the Bush Wildlife Sanctuary speak to our group. So again, lots of great resources. You can also sign up with the Palm Beach County Department of Environmental Resources Management to get a monthly list of opportunities for you to get involved. Okay, plantings. Tree and flower plantings are another wonderful way to volunteer, and it's such a positive hands-on activity. Gets you out in the sunshine, helping the community, and great family activity. There are a lot of these kinds of planting activities that go on around Arbor Day and of course Earth Day. I highly recommend checking out Community Greening, which is a tree planting organization in Delray Beach. And they do tree giveaways, and they have some really amazing urban orchards and communities that otherwise really lack greenery. So I got to tour one in Delray a couple years ago. It was very inspiring, and it really had boosted that community's well-being by having these fruit trees right there at the corner. And of course, sign up for your local town email updates. I know the City of Boca Raton now has a sustainability director, and she'll send out updates on tree giveaways and whatnot. So make sure to stay in the loop in your local town as well for planting opportunities. Cleanups. Nature offers so much beauty. It's critical that it stays that way, of course, right? We can help keep it pristine and garbage free by volunteering to do cleanups, not only at the beach, but at parks, lakes, rivers, and other locations. Focus Save Our Beaches is a great organization in my neck of the woods. For Ocean is also a much larger organization. And then here are some other ideas to get involved: Keep Florida Beautiful, Surfrider Foundation, and Ocean Conservancy. The picture here is of me and Jessica Gray of Boca Save Our Beaches and our Boca City Council member, Andy Thompson, who did, you should really check this out if you haven't been aware of this. He did this amazing initiative where he committed to running or walking every street in the city of Boca Raton and doing these cleanups, because a few years ago, he went for a run and he realized that there was litter. And he said, what can I do personally to make a difference? And so he started this initiative, and he is now running for higher office at the state level. So keep an eye on Andy Thompson, and very inspiring. Sorry, slides. Okay. Community gardens. Community gardens increase the amount of green space and build a positive community interaction, and many also provide fresh produce to those in need. You can help by planting seeds, weeding, and picking fruits and vegetables. Again, here are some local resources: the American Community Garden Association, the Garden Club of America. Those are national organizations, but they can direct you to more local organizations. Boca Raton Community Garden, again, Soil and Soul, I recently discovered, something to check out. The Garden Club of Palm Beach, and I'm sure there are many other garden clubs all around in different locales. And then the Delray Beach Garden, Children's Garden is a lovely place for families to connect, and you can check out, see what volunteer opportunities they have as well. And finally, citizen science. This involves volunteering to collect scientific data for a number of organizations like universities, government agencies, and research centers. This can be done by all ages, through sometimes school groups are doing it, but any age, a great family event. Some wonderful resources to find citizen science projects include citizenscience.gov, SciStarter, Zooniverse. And then you can also check with your local city, county, or state Department of Natural Resources, or even sometimes libraries or the local governments are connecting to citizen science opportunities. I know that, I believe last month, the city of Boca Raton put an announcement out about for the library that they were engaged in one of the citizen science projects. So again, the options are endless, and it's a great way to get outside and to give back and to do something, for the scientific community as well. Okay, so before we finish up and pass it to Meryl to talk more about Sierra Club programs, I just wanted to highlight some additional resources. My website, ecohappinessproject.com, is filled with more information, tons of blog posts and articles and podcast interviews, some freebies like a nature habit building quiz and Ecohappiness challenge calendar that you can download and keep yourself engaged and challenged to see how eco-happy you can get, right? And get your families engaged and your friends. And these are my two books, Finding Eco-Happiness, Fun Nature Activities to Help Your Kids Feel Happier and Calmer. It just came out 2 weeks ago, so you're part of the book launch. Thank you for being here this evening. And, I've been told that even though it's a parenting book, it really is for all of us. The information in there, again, I cover all the science that backs this up, and then I provide all kinds of activities, everything ranging from virtual reality, connecting to nature through virtual reality, to ecotherapy, and finding help in that regard, and then everything in between. And no matter what your level of connection to nature, you don't have to be, an avid hiker or a camper to to engage and to find your own eco-happiness. So my goal is to spread this message and to get more people understanding the benefits of nature to help save the planet. Really, that's my ultimate goal as a long-time environmentalist. And then if you have young children or grandchildren, I also collaborated with a teacher to make sure there was a tool to spark the conversation about mental health and the connection to nature and how nature can help children feel happier and calmer. And so we wrote Sky Search for Eco-Happiness. And it's really an adorable story where the little girl's feeling a little blue. Her mom says, why don't you head outside and see what your friends are doing? And she goes and finds a few friends doing these eco-happy type activities like painting a sunset, walking a dog, and being mindful of the ocean waves. So again, great gift for your grandkids or your young children. So if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, sandy@ecohappinessproject.com. And again, I hope you'll visit the website. So, and you can also find me on social media at Get Ecohappiness, particularly on Facebook and Instagram. All right, so thank you very much for having me here. And now Meryl is going to take over and talk specifically about these eco-happiness type opportunities right here with our Sierra Club group.
Back to the screen share here. A lot of back and forth on the PowerPoint presentations.
We are now finally Zoom and PowerPoint experts, right, Meryl?
So Sandy covered a lot of the really fun and interesting things that you can do locally, but I'm just going to hone in a little more specifically on our Sierra Club-Loxahatchee group, or if anybody is on this Zoom, since it's a Zoom from other places, not in South Florida, your local Sierra Club probably has many of the same types of things. So I'm going to talk about a few of them. And the first is, of course, the one that's most near and dear to my heart, which is the Palm Beach County Inspiring Connections Outdoors Group, or ICO, as we're known. I did become chair of our Palm Beach County group a couple of years ago. So it's a project that I know very well. We work with agencies in the community who work with low-income kids who don't often have a lot of opportunity to get out into nature. And we take them out into nature on outings. We've taken them kayaking. On the left, you can see we took them snorkeling. In the middle picture there, that was in the Everglades National Park. And on the right is kayaking. Most of these kids have never been to these places before when we take them, including even when we took some kids to the beach just to snorkel at Red Reef Park in Boca. And several of the kids said they had never been to the beach before, even though they were about 9 or 10 years old. So this is a program where we get to get out into nature. That's me on the left snorkeling. I'm not the one making the crazy face. That's another volunteer, Pam, but I am next to her. So the advantage of being a part of the Palm Beach County ICO is we get to go out and do these fun things, and we get to go out and do them with the kids who are so enjoying it and so immersed in the pleasures of nature that it's a double bonus for us. All of our outings are on Saturdays for the most part. We actually just started to work with one group who asked for Friday outings, but because many of our volunteers work, we are a fully volunteer group. Many of our volunteers work, so we take the kids out on Saturdays. And I would love for anybody here who's interested in getting out with the kids on these outings. We have usually 4 or 5 adults on the outings that we go on. Can connect with us. We do have a website, Palm Beach County Inspiring Connections Outdoors. Just Google it and you'll see it. Again, I want to point you to that top red bar at the top where it says donate. Donating on this particular site, funds go directly to our program to fund the taking the kids out. We don't charge the kids anything for any of the activities, including We'll take them on overnight camping trips sometimes. Obviously, that's expensive for us. We pay for food, we pay for all fees. If we take the kids kayaking, we pay for fees for that. So we are completely run by donations, and I'll make my little plug for feel free to donate if you want to help contribute to our program. Separate program that the Sierra Club-Loxahatchee group runs is adult outings. This is where adults just go out and have fun. Sandy talked about all the different ways that you can go out and volunteer, but sometimes you just want to go out and do something enjoyable in nature, like this picture of a bunch of adults kayaking. The Sierra Club-Loxahatchee group, unfortunately, is a little bit short on adult outings leaders. So if anybody is interested in taking the training and learning to become a leader, which Sierra Club guides you through all of the steps, it's not something that's hard to do. It's not something you're just thrown into doing. But if anybody's interested in doing that, on the website, you can see Ron Haynes and Chaz, who are the chairs of the adult outings committee, and they'll point you to that. Otherwise, I don't think there are any outings scheduled for summer, but on the Sierra Club-Loxahatchee website that I pointed out earlier in the program, there is that calendar, and that calendar would list all of the upcoming outings when hopefully they get started again in the fall. Team Sierra is a national Sierra Club program which combines people doing things out in nature with fundraising for the Sierra Club's work. And they've raised over $2 million in the past 5 years. And basically what you do is you pick an event that you want to be doing, run a half marathon, walk, do other things. The Sierra Club, Team Sierra sometimes sets up these outings, or they also let you do your own kind of a thing. And then you put it on Facebook or social media, or ask your family and friends to donate towards your doing this activity. You know, kind of like a walkathon or something like that would be. And then you get funds towards the Sierra Club for your activities. So if you're doing some of this fun stuff anyway out in nature, you might want to do it in community with other people. So if you go on the National Sierra Club website and just look for Team Sierra, you'll find how to plug into that. And finally, our group is involved with a Galaxy Sand Pine Preserve, which Lisa Hanley is spearheading for our group. And it's basically an area in Boynton Beach that was an overgrown and abandoned mess. And the city asked the Sierra Club to partner a number of years ago to help convert it back into a preserve that would be viable for gopher turtle, tortoises, and other habitats, and also able to be used as a teaching tool. And so periodically, Lisa will schedule cleanups in the Galaxy Sand Pine Preserve, where invasives are removed and other things are done to help make the preserve a much more welcoming place than it was before, and to keep it welcoming as it's becoming now. So that's something, again, that you can find on the website. Sierra Club-Loxahatchee group also does have a pretty active Facebook page. And so if an outing is scheduled, like an adult outing or a Galaxy Sand Pine cleanup, those kinds of things would be on Facebook as well. So hopefully you like the Loxahatchee group Facebook page and be able to plug in that way. Thanks. And again, this is my contact information for anybody who wants to become a volunteer or wants to talk about volunteering for the ICO program, which works with the kids. I will tell you, it is very rewarding. Just seeing how excited the kids are. We'll always say afterwards, like, what is your feedback? And if we take them kayaking or we've taken them hiking somewhere, you know, what is your feedback? And almost always they'll say, this was the greatest day of my life. And when are you taking me again? When can we go on the next thing? So it is really rewarding program, and I highly recommend people think about joining it. Okay,
Well, thank you. Those were two wonderful presentations. And Mary, are there any questions or comments in the chat you might want to share? And if anyone has a question and they would like to raise their hand, they can do that. We can actually, I think, Sheila, are you applauding or are you raising your hand? Oh, Drew has a question.
That's an applause. You got to get it straight with those raising the hand business. But that was an excellent, excellent presentation. Both of you was delightful. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. And Sheila was the former chair of the ICO group, so she gets a lot of the applause for getting that started and keeping it going for many years.
Yes, Drew, your hand is up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, yes, we can.
Go
Go ahead.
So I'm doing double duty here, and so I apologize for that. But I wanted to say that, you know, I really appreciated the presentation, and I really agree with nature being a tremendous healer of the, you know, people's minds. And I certainly go out in my yard every day, and I find it a really positive pick me up to go out and do that. I do think that, you know, as much as we don't want people to become, you know, depressed, I think that, you know, people have to be realistic about the what's going on, and people have to be a little bit fearful and afraid, because, you know, serious things could happen. You don't want to give up hope, and you don't want to stop working. I certainly am very optimistic that we can change a lot of these issues and, you know, save the earth. But I do think that we want people to be realistic and, you know, accept that, you know, in order to motivate people, we have to be able to tell people the truth. And I'll try to go fast, but I think that, you know, single-use plastics is a huge issue, and it's just not, the public's just not paying attention. We just seem to be completely unable to convince people that, you know, single-use plastics is terrible for the environment, yet people have become so dependent on it. So, you know, I think in some cases we have to be a little bit, you know, willing to state truth to power, even if it's not the message people want to hear. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. People are asking where to purchase a book. And if you're looking in the chat, 2 places have been mentioned. Sandy's Ecohappiness web project page, her Ecohappiness project page is posted there. And then I know I got a copy on Amazon for the Kindle. And it's very easy to read on a Kindle. Your eyes never strain if you have a Paperwhite. So that's what I like. Other questions that I saw on that study about plants and in the house, Sandy, do they have to be live or could they be artificial plants? And I think maybe it's the same as the photos that you can look at. They don't have to be real nature scenes. They could be photos.
Very interesting question. I will have to actually see if that study has been done, because part of the challenge with this area of research is it's so new that they haven't quite covered all of, you know, every little nook and cranny. But it is true that decorating your home with natural elements like nature art, Ansel Adams and whatnot, painting your own nature like I do and having it in your room is beneficial. Of course, not as beneficial as the real thing and being outside, but that is very interesting. I guess it would depend on how real that plant actually looks. If it's obviously artificial,
I started thinking pretty deeply, haven't I? Yeah, it really occurs to me. No, I have coworkers, they stare out the window and they claim that by just looking at the greenery, just looking at green, makes them feel better, reduces their eye strain. You know, I have a coworker who says that a lot. So anyway, other comments. I don't see a lot of questions.
I had a question that I put in the chat that I asked Sandy,
Okay.
which is about the citizen science that you mentioned. And also I would just like to request, if people have their video off, feel free to turn it back on, because talking to a lot of black boxes is always so weird. You mentioned the citizen science, and I know that's such a fascinating topic, but what actually, so people go out and they do their little scientific experiment and they upload the information to whatever organization is conducting the science, but then what happens after that? What happens to the information?
I mean, it would really depend on that specific study. It could end up, it ends up in a database and potentially in a journal report. It's not like you're going to get credit as the citizen scientist, but you may see it, sourced at some point.
But it's actually used in a real scientific experiment. It's not just for you to just do this exercise.
Yes, they do like a annual bird count. There's like a flower bud count. There's certain ones that are very common. But what's also interesting that I point out, because I get this question all the time, in the parenting community, how do I get my kids off screens? And it's a huge problem we're facing in this society. So I like to use citizen science as an example of like the bridge from technology to nature, because you're actually, you maybe taking that app, that phone with you. Like I did it with my kids, and they were so fascinated, and it helps them actually be more mindful, because they're looking for certain aspects of nature and that they capture the photograph of, and then a lot of times it tells you the species, so they're learning. It's a way to, again, to connect them and help them be part of the scientific research process.
Yeah, I love that idea.
And it's good for all ages.
Anybody have any other questions? Feel free to raise your hand or comments. Oh, I think we have a question.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I got involved with doing some citizen science projects through Audubon, and that information is actually entered online in a database, and it is used by various scientists. And another place was Cornell Lab.
Yeah.
From Cornell University has some others citizen science projects, particularly an annual bird count. And those are pretty easy to do if you know the birds. And if you go out with the Audubon people, then you learn the birds. So there are places where that happens. I also wanted to share, there was one other volunteer activity, Meryl, with the Sierra Club, and that's the Sierra Club tabling events. And Glenn Lawford is our current chair for our tabling events, and I'm not sure if they're over now for this season and maybe resuming in the fall.
Yeah, I didn't mention all of the activities because I was focusing primarily on the ones that take place in nature, but some of the tabling events do. Some of them are in the Loxahatchee Reserve and other places where the events are in nature, and then Sierra Club takes the table. So you do get the double bonus of helping spread the word about Sierra Club and being able to be surrounded by nature yourself. So good point, Kate.
Thank you.
Glenn, would you like to unmute yourself and,
I am unmuted.
okay, give a shameless plug for the events committee.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? So it was a great event, great season that we had. It's pretty much over. I don't have any more events coming up until November. The one on Flagler Drive is coming up, and that's the Lagoon Fest coming up the first weekend of November. But everybody that helped out during the season for the events, we did a whole bunch of different ones. Both school, we did a at the university of Palm Beach State College, Palm Beach Atlantic College. Everybody that helped out, Sheila, I know I'm gonna miss up names, Linda, everybody helped out. Appreciate everybody for pitching in and working together and helping me get everything put together. Janet was great help. She was my cohort and working together. She would put everything together for me at some of the events, set up the tent and everything. It was really cool. So everybody helped out. I appreciate it all. I'll let you know what else is coming up and when everybody else can help out and do other events. I thank
And
you
now-
very much.
Len? excuse
Yes.
me, I think now you want to just give a big plug to your planning of the holiday party and how many volunteer positions there are available to help you on that.
Yeah, we have our Thanksgiving party coming up. My next planning meeting is the 8th of this month, and we need a lot of help. We need people.
8th of June.
8th of June, yeah, June 8th, 7 o'clock on Zoom. We'll send out the invites to everybody, and everybody can come over and join us and participate. We're gonna need a lot of help preparing and get everything put together. So the more help we get, the better more successful we'll be, and everybody will have a great time. It's gonna be a great event and a great night. Got a lot of things going on.
Thank you. I think Pat Edmondson had her hand up, but she put it down. But Pat, do you still have a question? Pat?
Yeah. Hi. I was just wondering, Sandy or Meryl, have you ever approached the school district about the amount of time that they give students during the day outside to, decompress, get themselves together, calm down, so that they're operating at, maximum efficiency?
Well, I will say that I don't think Meryl or I personally, are doing that sort of thing in that role, but I don't want to speak for Meryl, but I was, for example, at the Children in Nature Network conference last week, and that is really the core of what that organization does. It's a wonderful organization to take a look at, because the people that were there are mostly practitioners. I'm the writer. I love to hear their stories and bring them to life and share them. But these are folks that are, in the classrooms, trying to get the classrooms outside more. There's a lot of challenges involved, with budget cuts and safety concerns and all kinds of things that go into a traditional public school system. Fortunately, my kids, they go to American Heritage and they spend a lot of time outside. They eat outside every day. It's, in Florida, we have the outdoor, a lot of schools have outdoor hallways. So it's a whole different ballgame than, like growing up in New Jersey. So,
but,
it's
even
a challenge.
Kids can get chilly. It's okay. They can
Okay.
still be outside. They don't really mind, but it's so beneficial. I'm a big proponent of at least spending the first 4 or 5 years completely in the environment before you ever sit them down at a desk with a pencil in their hands.
Yeah, and there are a couple of preschools, there are a growing number of preschools around the country that are nature preschools that take place 100% outdoors.
Yeah.
No matter what the weather, the kids are playing outdoors. So
Right.
it's a very small movement, but starting to grow a little bit. So that's good.
It's very important. Anyway, thank you. It was a great presentation. Very interesting.
It's Sheila.
This is
I
Drew.
call attention to the fact that up until a year or two ago, until COVID, Kay and I and Drew also got into it, and I can't remember who else, I'm sorry. There was a green school competition that we were involved in, and a lot of the schools on the elementary level and maybe even a little bit more have actual gardens and green space that they have worked in. Kay, maybe you could add to that a little bit.
Yeah, I just put my hand up. So Palm Beach County and along with Martin County have been active with the Green Schools Recognition Program for maybe the last 15 years. But I'm sorry to have to share that there is no Green Schools program this year, this school year in Palm Beach County, Palm Beach and Martin counties, because the funding went away with the COVID. So the woman that was in charge of the Green Schools program working out of Pine Jog was laid off. I'm glad to say that Lauren has a new position with Grassy Waters Preserve. But you can look it up. Green Schools, the Green Schools Recognition Program is a national program, and you can just Google Green Schools programs and find out about them. And I certainly do hope that in the future, but things start to get a little more back to normal, that this program will come back to Palm Beach County.
Well, besides the program coming back, Kay, we have to realize how many of the schools, because there were so many of the schools that had laid out unbelievable areas of green space, whether it was growing gardens or bird cages, or it was just went on and on and on. And it's a great, fantastic program. But the thing is, those places still exist at the schools. They didn't disappear.
Right.
They weren't taken care of during COVID. So
Right. So I hope
This
that
is
the
Drew. I
teachers.
wanted to jump in on the conversation.
Okay, go ahead.
We had at the political committee, we were talking about endorsing school board members. And that might be an opportunity to get that program reestablished. I'm not sure why COVID would cause that program to close down, because most of those programs were outside.
I can answer that, Drew, because the program was guided and the teachers were given in-service training, and all of that was done through the supervisor at Pine Jog. And she told me that it cost about $70,000 a year to run that program. Wow. And with COVID, their fundraising events were totally canceled, and they did not have the funds, and they could not find the funds to continue the program. It's like a huge blow to me, because I had become such a promoter of the program. So let's hope it comes back and do anything we can to make sure it does come back. I like your idea of questioning school board members about it. School board.
Well, that might be if we were to endorse prospective school board members, that could be definitely, because I think we've got to get to the point when we do political endorsements that we're getting something in return, not just giving out endorsements, but we're getting some commitment from these people. So when they get in office, they're going to do something that, things that we think are important. I also wanted to say, I talked to Janet Stankel, and she wanted to thank our group for the postcards and the getting people to sign the online petition. But she said, they're getting more postcards, but they're not getting that many people to sign the online petition. So she's hoping that in future events, we could, work on getting people to sign that petition as well as filling out the postcards. Because they only had like 143 additional signatures on there. And I was surprised, because I know our group's done a lot, but she said our group's pretty much done the majority of the work on that.
Has anyone here not signed it and would like the link? I could put it in the link if you haven't. The plastic, this is the Publix plastic bag petition.
Okay.
Mary, wouldn't hurt. Go ahead, Mary, put that in the chat. And I think it might be time for the mystery question. Everybody get out your notes.
The mystery question. What is the best way to overcome eco-anxiety?
I know.
Put it in
Your
the
answer in the chat.
Oh.
Tick tock, tick tock.
Where did it go? Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Okay, don't be shy. Put it in the chat. If you don't have the ability to put it in the chat, you can raise your hand.
Spelling doesn't count, right?
Doesn't count, no.
Cool.
Okay.
But probably lots of right answers, but Kathleen got in there first.
Well,
That's because we have-
Kathleen, congratulations. You're going to be getting this wonderful copy of Ecohappiness sent to you. And what you need to do is please put your address in the chat. And I will be sure to put it in the mail in the next 2 days.
Thank you. I look forward to reading it. Thank you.
We'll all be over for dinner tomorrow night.
And at this time, Mary, if you turn off the recording, we're going to have just a few minutes of open mic. If anyone has anything they want to discuss, anything we may have missed that's local going around town or